Roe v. Hose. Now, there are a few people.
Love it.
There are a few people who are already typing away, going like, "But Roe was the person who was looking for abortions in the court case." Well, we've got some clips. Well, a clip that'll show that she may not have felt as strongly about that as she carried on in her life and embraced some of the more Christian virtues that America has to offer. Obviously, this is all in regards to the Roe v. Wade potentially being overturned by the Supreme Court, which was found out in a document that was leaked by somebody in the Supreme Court. Don't know who. Pete, just to say, has pointed out that it might be the greatest 4chan prank of all time, which I think would be wonderful given the results it's been leading to, and the consequences do seem to be something that 4chan would appreciate. But also, I just want to say that I do think it's very, very suspicious that a new court justice has been appointed by Biden, who is a massive progressive and doesn't seem to know what a woman is, who would obviously disagree with this decision. And then immediately after, this document gets leaked.
I also love how you describe her as a progressive, and I just thought for a minute, well, why do we know that? Well, because she's pro-critical race theory and pro-nonce. I was like, oh, yeah,
yes.
No, that doesn't make it.
I mean, she's very, very light on the child porn consumers, so that's a pretty progressive position right there. But before we go any further, let's talk about somebody else who's very irresponsible with their children. Carl recently put out a video talking about the secrets of Rousseau and his dalliances, his foundational thinking that led to leftism as we know it today. So if you want to know about everything that's led up to stuff like noncery being accepted, the grooming of children in schools, critical race theory, all of this stuff, just go check this out. Carl does a good job of breaking it all down. So let's carry on. So first of all, just to clear all of this up, it has come out that some of the justices within the Supreme Court have confirmed that the leak is authentic. So just in case anybody was still, any leftists out there still screeching, holding out hope that this was all a hoax, no. It is true. So the Supreme Court confirmed the leaked draft opinion suggesting there are enough justices to overturn Roe v. Wade is authentic. In a statement, the High Court said that while the document is authentic, it does not represent a decision by the court or the final position of any member on the issues in the case. The statement added that it is routine for justices to circulate these opinions internally. I mean, obviously.
Here's my opinion.
Yeah. And to the extent this betrayal of the confidences of the court was intended to undermine the integrity of our operations, it will not succeed, Chief Justice John Roberts said. The work of the court will not be affected in any way. So this is basically just saying, because a lot of people were worried that if the public outcry from this ends up influencing the Supreme Court's decision in this, that it could be something that forever damages the integrity of the Supreme Court as an institution, which I think would be a fair thing to consider, but they're just saying that that's not going to happen. We'll see how that goes, however, given how things are going. But the memes that have been coming out of this are quite funny. So here's the Supreme Court applying some tender love and care, doing a late-term abortion on the hose. And this is all come, quite a bit of this I've managed to source from I think it's a new Twitter account called Baby Killers Posting L's, which is a pretty spicy name, but has some very good stuff regarding all this situation. But what I was saying about the fact that it's Roe v. Hose is that this whole thing seems to be starting to cause the downfall and destruction of hookup culture. And I think that that's something that the woman Roe herself would actually support if she was still around. In fact, I don't know if she's still alive. Do you mind checking her name? Sure. Norma McCorvey. So Norma McCorvey was the actual plaintiff as part of the Roe v. Wade case, and she went under the name Jane Roe for the case. She was the one looking to get an abortion. I think it was her third child, and she just didn't want another child, so she was like, I just want an abortion. And then it went to the Supreme Court, and then all of this.
Well, no, all of a sudden she became a victim of gang rape who couldn't get an abortion outside of the state. She was totally sure. And I didn't know about the circumstances of that being true or not. I just assumed they were true.
Turns out not so much. So Callum, you, doing the Lord's work, actually put this clip out there that we're going to play. This is Norma McCorvey, in her own words, talking about the consequences of her decision, what happened, and whether she regrets it or not.
Jane Roe's story was a terrible one. She said she had been gang raped, gotten pregnant, was desperate to get an abortion. That's what everyone believed, as long as Jane Roe remained anonymous. When she went public, she told a different story.
You were raped while you were in Georgia? I wasn't.
You were not?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, so all those stories that are in the books and so forth are not true?
Yes, sir. Yes.
They're not true.
Right.
And it turned out that lying wasn't the only embarrassment this darling of the pro-choice forces presented. In her personal treatise published last year, Norma McCorvey told the story of her somewhat sordid life. Then she still adamantly supported abortion. Now she adds that to the list of sins she took with her into the baptismal pool.
I've cheated people out of money. I've sold drugs. I was an abusive alcoholic for, many, many years. I've done a lot against his teachings. But I think the far greater sin that I did was to be the plaintiff in Roe versus Wade.
So it was all BS.
I mean, you would have thought that
was all nonsense. That's pushing it inwards. What? Stop right there, John.
This confuses the hell out of me, though, because I would have thought it would be the first thing everyone knows about Roe v. Wade. It would have been the first thing anyone has ever told about Roe v. Wade. It would be the first line on Wikipedia.
That it was all BS.
Yeah, all based on a person who was a terrible individual and just openly lied for presumably either being manipulated for political gain.
I mean, to be fair to her for coming out and telling the truth about it later on in life after she converted. I mean, doesn't take away the consequences of everything she did, but
I'm just so surprised that I didn't know this sooner.
Well, of course you didn't.
And that's the thing. Like,
why would pro-abortion lobbyists want anybody to know about this stuff?
It's been purposely omitted from the history, hasn't it?
And that's even just discounting the fact that the reason the Supreme Court went along with the decision in the first place was for a implied constitutional right to privacy, which isn't there. It's just not in there. There is no right to privacy that means that you have the right to privacy of
crimes.
Aborting your child when it's illegal. But okay, Planned Parenthood are fighting back against this. They're saying we've been preparing for this. We're ready for this fight. They are coping pretty hard, and of course Planned Parenthood are coping pretty hard and want to fight back against this because this is presumably where all of their business comes from.
Yep, they thrive on killing black babies. That's the whole business model.
Pretty much that's what it was set up for in the first place. Just go check out Margaret Sanger for anybody who doesn't know those circumstances. But they're also pointing out something. Yep,
I'll kill 2 million babies before I let this company die.
They are pointing out the obvious, which is abortion is still legal, and also the whole point of the Roe v. Wade was that it forced on the federal level all of the states to make abortion legal, whether the states wanted to or not. Repealing this will not mean that anybody in a state that will allow abortion, that will continue to allow abortion, will not be able to get it. It's not like the red states are just going to pounce. They're just going to pounce and take away all of your abortion rights all of a sudden. No, that's not going to happen. So if anything, if you still want that abortion, you're probably just going to have to go over to the next state over.
At worst.
At worst, yes. And Elizabeth Warren is mad as hell about this, and she wants you to know, look at this picture of her looking fierce, almost like some kind of angry duck right there, pointing with the finger of judgment. And this article is quite amusing. While it's exactly the decision that the conservative-leaning Supreme Court was expected to make in this coming June, it is no less chilling to see it come to fruition. Protesters gathered outside the Supreme Court within hours, and they were joined by bigger crowds on Tuesday morning. At some point, Senator Elizabeth Warren stopped by, and it was captured on a video outside the building, just looking about ready to explode.
Where's the manager?
Runs up to the Supreme Court. I need to speak to your boss. I am angry. I'm angry and upset and determined. The United States Congress can keep Roe v. Wade the law of the land. They just need to do it. You just do it. Just do it.
Why? It was based on a lie. It's not constitutional. Get out of here.
Yes. Increase federal power over the states because democracy, freedom.
Like you can just vote for them at the state level.
Yes. And guess what? If your state flips to a person, to a governor who doesn't want to allow abortion, well, I guess that just means that democracy has had its say, doesn't it?
It's not.
I mean, they're constantly going on about our democracy, or is it just your democracy? I'm confused. Republicans have been working towards this day for decades. This has been the number one policy position. They have been out there plotting, carefully cultivating these Supreme Court decisions so they could have a majority on the bench who would accomplish the thing that the majority of Americans do not want.
I love the idea that this conspiracy goes back to Roe herself. Like, Republicans they all got together and decided, right, we'll get this lady to lie, and we'll get the law overturned, and then in 20 years we'll discredit her by pointing out that it was a lie.
All we'll do is make sure it's legal first, and then when we come back round to make it illegal, it'll be all the more effective. Boom, 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 boom. Galaxy brain take right here. 69% of people across the country, red states and blue states, old people and young people, want Roe v. Wade to maintain the law of the land. We have a right. We've heard enough from extremists, and we're tired. Why? I mean, the Democrats are always constantly going on about how they're tired. They're tired of capitalism. They're tired of nationalism and patriotism. And when you've got people like, old dusty bags like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders in charge of the party, I can understand why they probably do just need a bit of a nap. Old Sleepy Joe has earned his name after all. But also the point, of course, being that we can't let them cheat to get their political goals accomplished. That's our job. That's what we do.
Okay. Nice admittance.
Yes. And I did find I found this, something really fun that's been spread around recently, which is a Snopes article asking, did an Ohio state representative propose exempting African-American women from abortion restrictions? This was a Democratic state representative, of course. And scroll down for me, John, because you expect it to be like, it's false, just complete nonsense. Why would they? No, it's true. It's true. Even Snopes couldn't deny this one. Last week, Ohio, this is back in 2019, Ohio governor...
I expect you to say back in 1950 or something.
Nope, 2019, the Democrats still at it. Mike DeWine signed into a law a bill that bans abortions as soon as the baby's heartbeat is detected, which can be as early as 6 weeks.
Unless they're black, get the hammer.
Yep. Get the calipers out, boys. But before it passed, a Democratic state representative from Ohio tried to make sure African-American babies were excluded from the pro-life bill and could be aborted for any reason up to 20 weeks. I don't know if this is sending the right message. And also, listen to the reasoning here. Listen to her reasoning, right? Okay. Representative Janine Boyne proposed that the amendment, which provided the exception for black mothers to abort their babies, Boyd suggested protecting black children from abortion is akin to slavery. What? Black slaves were once treated like cattle and put out to stud in order to create generations of more slaves. So... is she advocating that what we
God.
So instead of freeing them, the only true way to free them from the oppression...
is to get the brick.
Yes. The only true way to free them from American oppression and institutionalized racism is just to kill them.
I love her. She's like a weird Dixiecrat era. She's like, well, they shouldn't be slaves, but they shouldn't have rights.
Yep. The only way to know what's good for you is to genocide. That's basically what they're asking for here. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's insane. Once again, even Snopes couldn't deny any of this. And then we've got other places like Politico, who are the ones who leaked it in the first place, doing a Q&A, answering your questions about the future of Roe v. Wade, asking the important questions, such as, are gay rights on the chopping block too? No.
What?
No one's ever pointed this out, but they say the right to same-sex marriage could be in jeopardy because it's also based on a right to privacy. Okay.
When a gay man kisses a gay man, a baby doesn't die. That's not how it works.
Yep. And they've also got the question of, will this have long-term impact on access to contraceptives? No, in fact, this will probably actually be a massive boom for the contraceptives industry, if anything else. And then the most this top question, can this be explained to us like we're five? I mean, appropriate for Democrat voters, I suppose. And the final question that I just wanted to point out from this one, which is very, very telling, which is just, why doesn't Biden pack the court?
Why not just not have a country? Why just not ignore all the rules?
Why not just take over massive executive control in the name of democracy?
You know, you laugh about that, explain it to us like we're five thing. Did you remember that Kamala Harris thing?
I remember.
Big country, small country.
I remember that. Awful.
Baby, brick.
And, oh, no.
But only if they're black.
Baby coat hanger. But
swatch.
Politico also have pointed this out in an article talking about pro-abortion rights groups looking to spend $150 million on midterms. And this kind of sort of made a few things click for me, which is what have the Republicans done a very, very, very good job of recently?
Hitting them on critical race theory?
hit them on critical race theory, and most importantly, hitting them on the child grooming charges of political grooming and also sexual grooming, which has really brought a lot of support together for the Republican base, which is going to be fantastic for them going in the midterms.
Well,
what's like, other than, other than mass shootings, what's the one thing that can actually bring Democrat votes together for something like the midterms?
Is it abortions?
Abortions, killing babies
with a party of abortionists.
Yes, so this seems very, very tactical and very, very well timed to me to try and bring together the Democrat voters specifically so that they're able to try and make a dent in the midterms. Hopefully that doesn't work, but it does seem quite politically savvy, unfortunate as that is. But it does also show the dichotomy between the left and the right as it stands right now, which is the right, we want to have the children be born and then not groomed when they were children.
My goal is to have children born.
Yes, I know. Radical idea. Sorry. Whereas the left, they want to kill the children, but if they can't get that done, they will make sure to groom them so that they remove their genitals so they no longer have children.
I tell you, man, socialism definitely is some kind of death cult.
Oh, it absolutely is.
When everyone's dead, the world will be perfect.
These people are absolutely anti-human to their core. There was a Vice article as well of leftist anarchists making DIY abortion pills. The most important thing I wanted to point out about this is that one of the guys doing it was a Shill loafer who runs the collective, who published a 17-minute video explaining how to make these DIY abortion pills at home. In the video, Loafer explains that besides being used to medically induce abortions, this drug, misoprostol, is also used to treat ulcers in horses. Horse medicine. Approved horse medicine.
Okay.
This is very interesting, isn't it?
Do you take weird drugs homemade by some crazy Antifa type?
I mean, leftist anarchists absolutely would.
I mean, you might as well just take cyanide. I mean, that's probably going to be the results.
And I think if you came up with a good enough reason for it, leftists would en masse take cyanide. Not encouraging anybody, I'm just saying that it's probably likely that they would, okay? And they do point out here that we see time and time again attacks on abortion access lead to less safe abortion alternatives performed by a patient themselves or without medical supervision. If Roe's overturned, we're going to see more people seeking DIY abortion methods, which will include making their own abortion pills. And that is a decent enough point, because this sort of stuff does happen whether it's legal or not, which is a shame. But I would say there's a greater societal point to be made here, as well as about how easy access to abortions has made people forget, basically, what sex leads to, and then led to people seeing sex as this disposable commodity that just to be, used and thrown aside when it really isn't.
I'm also not on the, like I've mentioned before, I'm not really hugely on abortions, and I should be somewhere, but I don't know where.
Yeah.
Cutoff should be. But even that argument doesn't make sense to me. It's like, did you know if we make murder illegal, people will do murder illegally? Like, yeah.
Yes.
So yes, that's still wrong.
We know that, but
to end murder, we must legalize murder.
I know. But either way, this is guaranteed to at least lead to a major reduction in abortions, at least for the reasons we'll explore below. So I also just had some more cope that's been posted. So liberals having a normal one. I'm not going to play this clip just because the screeching will be intolerable, but you can tell just from the visuals of this.
I can hear it by looking at it.
Yes, you can hear this video without me playing it, so you can tell what's going on here. So let's move on, but just to point out as well that the meme is real of American women when they can't murder children in states they don't live in.
High-pitched noises.
Yes, high-pitched noises. I enjoyed Midsommar, the film that this is taken from, but so many women have seemed to have taken the story of this woman gradually being indoctrinated into a cult and murdering her boyfriend as some kind of inspirational story. It's not. It's really not. It's a horror film, folks. Come on. And Chicago is also seeking to provide some post-term abortions. Lori Lightfoot saying if you're in need of an abortion or any reproductive care, Chicago will always be there for you. Scroll down for me, John. Chicago will shoot your kid right in your apartment for you. So, thank you very much, Lori Lightfoot, doing the Lord's work. And here's the main point, which is that as a result of all of this, leftist women are beginning to realize, hold up, sex leads to babies.
Wait, does it?
I know.
Whoa.
I know. With all the talk of sex education being a necessity in schools, these people don't seem to have really been paying attention. So, yeah, carry on. And there are people just pointing out, just click on this image for me. In case you're a man who doesn't care about Roe v. Wade, just know that if abortion gets banned, hookup culture will be absolutely decimated. What woman would have mediocre sex with a drunk rando if he could potentially father their child?
Yes, good point.
This has always been the potential. And it's only because of the fact that abortion has been so easy and has been sort of like substituted as a form of contraception now that we have abortion on demand that women even consider this thing in the first place.
Not to mention you can take the pill or use condoms as well.
Yes.
These things also aren't in the conversation.
Yeah, these people seem to have forgotten that condoms exist.
I mentioned to you earlier because I was watching some old clips of Jordan Peterson, and there was one where he's talking about sex and the differences between the genders. And he says to the boys in the room, look, imagine if you could get pregnant every time you had sex. You might be a little more concerned about who you're having sex with. Apparently not.
Apparently not, but that was because of very specific circumstances. Maybe Jordan will be proven right in the long run now that they're going, hold up, I could get pregnant from this.
You could just take the pill. Like
She could, but these people aren't that smart. No, they're not. And this has also affected leftist men who are more than happy to cook themselves out for McQueen. Deal done, mate. My alarm bell started blazing. This is all from Reddit. So this is a major Reddit moment right here. Started blazing when Anthony Kennedy shockingly stepped down. So that's when I knew a snip had to get done. So that's what I did. Also, blah-de-blah, F the GOP and their death cult, absolute scum. Same, I made the decision to get snipped soon after Amy Bennett was confirmed to the court. And then somebody else, been snipped since 17, and every single thing that has happened over the past few years just reinforces my choice. I don't want children. I don't want children because of the people who are in political power.
So I'll just get a vasectomy.
So I'll just get a vasectomy.
It's 17.
No, since 17.
Oh, sorry.
Since 17. But leftist men beginning to sterilize themselves. I don't know if I see this as an entirely net negative, personally.
You know what? This is actually great on every front. End of hookup culture. Leftist men are all going to make themselves castrated. And
I mean, even if they stick around for their kids, which I don't know if I trust the loyalty of male feminists, they're probably not going to be great fathers in the first place, not at least until they become conservatives. And then there's another Vice article just saying, like, here's how you can get your post-Roe vasectomy, telling the stories of men getting vasectomies in a post-Roe world. Spencer got his vasectomy in December. He and his wife had been discussing it for a year, and they decided that it was time to take the big snip.
No, it was him and his wife's boyfriend.
Yeah, his wife's boyfriend was very adamant on it. IUD, for those in England, that means the coil was coming up to its expiration date, and she really didn't want to get another one put in, which was traumatic and very painful, or go back onto birth control. He told me they live in Arizona, one of the most hostile states to abortion rights, and they didn't want to have children in the future. His getting a vasectomy, the outpatient procedure that severs the tubes that carry sperm from the balls to the urethra, and also the pee, presumably, from the balls, was the simplest solution to all of the issues. So he basically got cooked.
Well, no, there are reasons to get a vasectomy, I could see, but because of Roe v. Wade.
Yes, I never realized before this decision that sex could lead to pregnancy. I mean, okay. In what they see as both acts of solidarity and public service announcements, it's prompted many people who've got their sperm tubes snipped to talk openly about their balls and their own roles in the demand for abortion access online. I've gotten people pregnant when I was in my early 20s, and I felt so guilty putting my partner through all that stress which was compounded by repressive reproduction laws, making it harder to get care.
She had no idea.
Yeah.
She was completely confused.
She had no idea. I couldn't have just, worn a condom while having sex with these people,
But I love how she, in that circumstance as well, is just like all of a sudden she's like, I'm getting a bit fat.
But I've been eating a few more pies maybe, but come on, not like this. Timothy Faust says, who got his vasectomy in 2020 and currently works at an abortion clinic, so nice virtuous guy right here. So I figured I'd nut up, so to speak, see what you did there, Timothy, good one, and do my part to prevent it in the future. I mean, once again, did he try wearing condoms? It's not that difficult. If needs be, if anybody doesn't know how, I can go grab a banana and show you like you should have done when you were younger. It's really very simple.
Sex education now is teaching about queer sex instead of safe sex, so...
Yeah, I know. But getting a vasectomy as an act of allyship or solidarity for one's partner isn't a new phenomenon. Just as abortion rights have been under attack by Republicans, conservatives, and the religious right for years. In 2021, Pennsylvania State Rep Chris Raab introduced a parody legislation that would require men to get vasectomies after the third child or once they turn 40. I mean, this is supposed to be a joke. This is supposed to be a parody, but leftists absolutely would support this.
What, mandatory?
Yes, mandatory vasectomies after your third child or when you hit 40. I know that they would. These people hate humanity. They see us as a plague on the world.
0 children. What are you talking about?
Well,
why would they wait till the third?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's one concession for the conservatives, but like this is absolutely their worldview.
I could see an argument for getting a vasectomy after having 3 kids or whatever, and you're like, don't want to do.
I mean, if you're doing it of your own choice, the state kicking your door down with the scissors and going, lay back and think of
Roe v. Wade.
Lay back and think of Roe v. Wade. I'm not so on board with.
Think about this lying woman.
Yeah, but it seems that as a result of all of this, the era of the trad wife begins. There's this next article where women on TikTok, because they're the ones whose opinions we need to pay attention to, say hookup culture will be absolutely decimated if Roe v. Wade is overturned. So it turns out all we needed to do to destroy hookup culture and embrace trad wife was make women face consequences.
I see this as a win.
I see this as a complete win. Some TikTok users say that they would enter the celibacy era if Roe v. Wade is overturned. One user declared in her video that all the pro-life men who love Plan B. OMG, I'm entering my celibacy era, a user commented below, to which the video creator replied that she had the same thought the second the news came out. We all need to collectively agree to never touch another man again if it gets overturned. Another user declared that they were deleting all dating apps as we speak. So yes, this is not a bad thing. This is good. This is what people have been encouraging women to do for a long time. And also, this is just an admission that they were using abortion as easy access abortion as contraceptives.
Yeah, big self-report on themselves.
Yeah, massive self-report, just so that they can indulge in casual, meaningless sex. Since about 75% of men only care about sex and money, which is why they're so desperate to stop you murdering babies, only care about the sex and money.
Like if men only cared about more sex, abortions at all points would be legal because then more sex.
Yeah, this is the argument that they've been making for years. Oh, if men had to give birth, then abortions would be celebrated. It's like, well, not according to this statement right here. She carries on, why would we risk letting someone who runs on Hot Pockets and Juul Pods father our children, she wrote, noting in her caption that her video is a joke to cope with how terrifying this is. But that's a good point, which is, okay, if you don't want that person who runs on Hot Pockets and Juul Pods fathering your children, why are you sleeping with him in the first place?
Also, look at yourself. Look who's speaking. Like, do you know these men are kind of low status? Also, I have 10 guys this week.
Yep. Maybe look in the mirror. But just as the final consequence of this, this is just an article that you sent to me earlier. I just wanted to point out that there was this article in The Sun talking about all women should have an affair once in their life. Turn up the cheat. So
today in the media trying to ruin your life.
Yes, women have been encouraged at every single opportunity nowadays to go off and be a whore, to go off and cheat on their partner, to see their relationships as something that is not sacred, that's something that is purely transitory. It's a transaction. I am with man because he can give me something material and physical, not because he can give me anything more that will actually, correspond with something that you could refer to as like spiritual satisfaction, to sound a bit, like, airy fairy or something. I know, right? But it is the truth that women are just being encouraged to go out and be massive whores.
I mean, in this example, it is.
This is just outright Rachel Foster just saying, it made me feel sexier and look younger. Who cares if I broke his heart? I feel better about myself.
We don't have much time for this story, but the best part about it is that she's like, it made me feel sexier and look younger. But she went on a photo shoot and provided photos of herself. And no, I didn't.
Yeah. And just to clear this off then, so hookup culture has gone too far. Many women are not virginal angels that some men expect them to be or hope that they are. And it's impossible to find anybody who is perfect, but still the culture that we have cultivated has been a massive windfall success for whores of all stripes. And with the death of hookup culture, all I can say is that nothing of value has been lost.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium hangouts we do sometimes, this one between Carl and Harry, on trans regret. So that one's definitely premium. And if you want to follow what else Harry's putting out, you can follow him on Getter at Harry Lotus Eater on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.